Oh boy, life has been lifin', as the kids say, I think. Hello there and welcome back to the June May channel. I'm Paula Jean and this is where I share about my sewing and making endeavors. But it has been a hot minute since I've been on here because I have been in a funk. I didn't have access to my sewing room for a little bit because there was some work happening in our apartment and all of the stuff there had to come into here. Then I got sick and then we went to visit some friends and then I got sick again and then some other friends came into town. My husband got into a motorcycle accident. He's fine. It was a very low speed crash, so he is A-okay, which is a blessing. But you know, all of that and the things happening in the world just kind of piled on top of all of my creative impulses and spark. And yeah, so that's what I am emerging from now, thanks to a couple of recent things that I will share with you in a minute. But first, I just want to take a moment to acknowledge my 1-year birthday here on YouTube. February 2023 was when I uploaded my first video, and I have some mixed feelings about it. Predominantly, I'm very grateful for all of you who have subscribed and watched and given me a thumbs up and shared my videos. I don't have friends who sew in my real life, so all of my interaction with the community is online. And so this has been a really gratifying thing to be a part of. I also wanted to start this channel so that I would get a little bit more practice in shooting and editing. Both my husband and I are in the entertainment industry. We're coming from acting and writing, and our industry is going through really chaotic and potentially catastrophic changes, and we're both kind of pivoting and figuring out which kind of avenues to pursue. And one of the things that I want to pursue is directing. So even though I don't want to be a cinematographer or be an editor, I felt like giving myself a little bit of a school in just the process of filming things, editing them, and putting them out in the world was a really helpful thing for me. I have learned something with every video that I've made, and so just that in itself is enough reason for me to continue on this path. I did lie to myself just a little bit though, because even though I wanted this to primarily be about engaging with the community and giving myself a little bit of learning materials, I also had this little app in the background that was running, that was draining my battery, saying, you should post more, you should make this a side hustle, you should try to make money with this. And so I had this little kind of fantasy on the side that like, oh, well, maybe the channel will get popular and I will be able to monetize the channel. And I did reach the subscriber threshold for that, but I did not meet the watch hours threshold for that. So you have to get a certain number of watch hours within 365 days, and that didn't happen. So I was kind of disappointed in myself, but on the other hand, it was kind of an unrealistic ask for me to have of the universe of YouTube, because I knew that I was not going to be a weekly poster. Our schedules are different every week, kind of every day, and I really wanted to approach this in a sustainable way. I wanted it to accommodate not only my weird schedule, but also my fluctuations in physical health and mental health, and I did not want this to be yet another thing that would add to some kind of burnout, which I have very profound and prolific experience with. So the YouTube algorithm doesn't really reward people who don't post super regularly. And that's just how that works. And, you know, since 2024 is my year of acceptance, I have come to terms with that. And even though I have a little bit of disappointment and I feel a little bit down on myself for not being able to monetize this, I can also see why that didn't happen. And I am going to err on the side of caring for myself. So thank you again to everybody. And I look forward to doing this more. Now, in terms of getting out of my creative funk, one of the things that helped me was doing a pattern test. L'Orpiar recently released the Leia top pattern, and I was a tester for that. I am wearing my final piece. So this is an elevated knit basic, and what elevates it is this awesome asymmetrical, partially gathered turtleneck collar. This comes in a sleeveless and a long sleeved version, and I made the sleeveless version. I'm wearing it over my closet core bodysuit just to cover my arms. I also lengthened it, but I have really high slits on the side to make it a tunic, so I can wear it with a whole bunch of different styles of pants underneath and have access to the pockets. So this is turned into a fantastic transitional piece. I've gotten a lot of compliments on it because I've worn it quite a bit actually since I made it. The fabric I used was a Rayon blend, kind of a mid-weight sweater knit that I got at Joann. I don't know if they have any more of this color, but they do still have the fabric, so I'll leave the link to the fabric down below. I will also leave a link to the pattern down below so you can check that out. Another thing that got my creative groove back was reading a book that a friend of mine actually wrote, and he does not know that I'm mentioning this on my channel, so Mike, I hope you're okay with this. So my friend Mike Chuba wrote a book called No Shortcuts, The 5 Chambers, A Practical Guide to Finding Your Own Creative Process. Mike is a theater educator at a university in Calgary, Alberta in Canada, and what I really loved about this, and it was ideal timing for me to read it, Mike really focuses on process, both with his students and within his own creative pursuits. He's also a writer. He writes plays and screenplays. He's a music aficionado, and he plays guitar, and he works with dancers. And so this book kind of goes into the stages of messiness that are involved in the creative process. So he addresses things like, you know, your negativity and just ways to move through and kind of honor the messiness in the various stages of the creative process. And he said that this book is for students, teachers, emerging artists, and the curious person of any age who is looking for a spark. I wanted to write this book for the same reason I teach, to share the knowledge that the creative process and the 5 chambers can be layered in any discipline, any project, and any life. And I really found that to be true. So one of the very, very resonant things that he deals with in this is perfectionism. I am a recovering perfectionist, and by that I don't mean that anything that I do in my life is perfect by any stretch of the imagination. What I mean by that is that the anxiety and stress and self-doubt and self-deprecation that I put myself through hinders my creative process. And so here's something that really stuck out to me with regards to perfectionism. There is no such thing as perfect. Remember, perfect is impossible. If something is perfect, what is there to look at or experience? If something is perfect, where do we, the audience, fit into it with all of our imperfections? And why would you ever need to experience it again? Perfect holds no curiosity, no danger, no anticipation, no life. We must not confuse perfection with precision. In your day-to-day, replace the word perfectionist with precisionist. Since perfect is impossible, seeking perfection is a fool's game and can only lead to frustration. Trying to make something perfect has no end and no real immediate, tangible, practical actions. He goes on to explain that if you are working on being precise, that is something that is actionable. That's something that you can improve on. So even within my sewing, which is where I really try to kind of work through some of my perfectionist tendencies, I try to let things go while still trying to improve my skill. So I can look at something that I made very recently and see how I am more precise in my sewing, how I've acquired new skills and techniques, and I have applied them. I can look at some of my earlier work and still say that, oh, that's cute and that was really good for my skill level then. I have improved so much now. I have gotten more precise. So it kind of just takes perfect out of the vocabulary and it really gave me something to move forward in a constructive way with. So I will leave the link to Mike's book down below and you can check it out. So I think because of all the kind of heaviness that I've been feeling lately, I've really been wanting to take on a couple of projects that are more soft, pretty, romantic, maybe looking towards spring. And last summer, for my birthday, my sister got me a gift certificate for Lyrical Fabrics. And I had bought a couple of fabrics with that, but because we were heading into fall, I got them, washed them, prepared them, and then I stuck them on the shelf. And I pulled them down, and one of them is this beautiful Pointelle knit fabric. So if you're not familiar with Pointelle, you've probably seen it in a lot of kids' clothes and some like women's pajama sets. This is a knit that is really soft. It's fairly lightweight, but not tissue weight. And it's got this beautiful open work that makes it kind of a rib knit, and it's really delicate and pretty. Pointelle is kind of notorious for having a lot of stretch, not a lot of recovery. So a lot of the patterns that are meant for this fabric they have a lot of negative ease in them. It's washes up really great. So I've already washed and dried this, and I absolutely adore this guava color. They also had a lighter peach, but I don't look really great in light colors. So this had a little bit more depth and weight to it. So I'm excited to make this up. Now, I thought I was just gonna make a basic tee or a basic Henley because I don't wanna manipulate the fabric too much. But what I really want is a wrap top. And I have the Appleton wrap dress pattern by Cashmerette Patterns, and I've made it up and I really like the way that it fits. But I also have this top that I am very embarrassed by because it's practically disintegrating. I've had it so long. It's a wrap top that has a few details that I really want to replicate in this top. So the first thing is the neckband. The neckband construction of it actually is very similar to the Cashmerette one. In that one, it doesn't have like just the long band that you sew on all around the neckline, and that causes, if you have any kind of a bust situation going on, causes like gaping and some fallout. This has a band that actually has a shoulder seam, so it kind of tightens up that inner neck band so it lies flat against the chest. In my disintegrating top, it also has that same construction, but it also has a seam line that is on the inner neck edge and then some understitching. So it really stabilizes that neck, and I want to incorporate that detail into my version. It also has just a partial tie, so it's not a full wraparound belt that you wrap around the back and tie in the front. It just has a tie that extends off of the front panel that crosses over, and then the other part of the tie is in the side seam. So you can just tie that and not have to pull on it so much. Underneath, on the inside, it's attached to the other side seam with a satin ribbon. Also, the waistband is actually doubled on my old one. So I think that's gonna give that some stability, so it's not gonna stretch out as much. And the last thing I really love on my version is on the peplum part of it, there's this facing, a cut-on facing that I really like the way that finishes that front edge. So I think what I'm going to do is cut that top apart. I'm not going to give it away because nobody's going to want to wear that thing. I'm going to cut it apart and lie it on top of my Appleton pattern and see if I can kind of Franken pattern it together to get what I'm after. And then the other fabric I got was this beautiful Rayon crepe. It's got a black background and this beautiful color combination of flowers on it. I think I'm going to be able to wear this with so many things in my wardrobe. It's got this wonderful texture. So this has been washed and dried, and it has kind of this bubble crepey texture. And I didn't know what the weight of this was going to be. They do have GSM on their website, but I'm not very good at translating like exactly what that's gonna be like in my head until I get it. So originally I thought I might make a blouse out of this, but once I washed and dried it, it kind of shrunk up a bit, shrunk quite a bit actually. I got 2 yards of this, and once it got out of the dryer, I ended up with just over 1.75 yards. So that's something to consider when you're looking at this fabric. But it gives it this great weight. So I think I'm actually gonna make a skirt out of it. I have a few patterns in my arsenal that would fit the bill, but I think the one I've landed on is the Milton Pinafore. This is a free or pay what you can pattern that is offered by Peppermint magazine. It was designed by Delphine of Just Patterns, and I really love Delphine's patterns. She's a very thoughtful drafter, and I really like the way that her whatever block she uses, it fits me really well. So the Pinafore has this fitted bib that's on the front that goes into straps that attach at the back, and then at the back it also has a placket down the skirt that is a button placket. So for this, I'm actually not going to use the bib. I'm going to wait till I have like a more substantial, stable fabric for that, maybe a twill or a denim. And since I'm using this drapey rayon crepe, I'm just going to use the skirt part. I'm going to put the placket actually on the front. And the skirt also has these great, very roomy side seam pockets. So that's always a winner for me. And then I'm just going to put a regular waistband on it. So that is what I've got in the queue. I'm kind of easing back into things. I just want to have some fun, nice, pretty things to add into my wardrobe. So I'm excited to show you how these turn out. Once again, many, many thanks to everybody here. Sorry for the barking dog. And please take care of yourself. Have a great week, and I will see you next time.